What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Edgar. This here is going to be video 3 in a series I've been doing on 9-to-5s. In the last two videos, we covered the good side of 9-to-5s and the bad and ugly side of 9-to-5s. If you haven't seen those yet, I highly recommend them, so go check them out. You can do that before or after this video. I really don't care. Just watch them. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 mistakes you need to avoid in your next interview in order to land that 9-to-5. Now, 3 mistakes might sound pretty trivial, right? But trust me, these are killers. So if you ever want to work again, or if you want to nail your next interview, keep watching. Now, I get it. You don't want to work a 9-to-5. Trust me, neither do I. So why am I making this video? Well, I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again because repetition is key.
So let me give you a major key.
Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. You do, I do, but we also need to support ourselves. And unless you're independently wealthy, you're gonna need a job at some point to make money and pay bills and, I don't know, do things like eat.
I just want to eat.
So looking for you in this video, I'm gonna help you get one, or at least help you get your next one. So I've been working in HR for about 3 years now, and in that time I've easily conducted or been a part of 300 plus interviews, easily. And truthfully, that's kind of a conservative number, so it could really be upwards of like 400 or 500 if I'm being honest, but we'll just say 300 for now. Naturally, having been a part of all those interviews, I've seen some people interview great, and others, well, not so great. So on top of those 3 mistakes you need to avoid when interviewing, I'm also gonna be talking about how to combat them, and I'm gonna be giving you some bonuses at the end, so make sure to watch all the way to the end of this video. And with that, let's jump right into the first mistake that's gonna kill your interview, which is rambling or going off topic. This mistake may look a little something like this. Tell us about a time when you and a coworker had to work together to solve a difficult problem. Oh yeah, sure. So there was the one time when me and a coworker were given this like giant report. I mean, it was a report out of hell. It was huge. And they just landed on our desk like on a Tuesday. And the worst part is that these answers are so long-winded that 9 times out of 10 they end up with, oh, what was the question again? Trust me, y'all, as an interviewer, there's nothing more boring than hearing someone ramble on for hours about completely unrelated topics. So if you end up doing this, whoever's interviewing you is gonna end up just disengaging from the conversation. They're not gonna hear your actual answers or listen to your experience, and they'll no longer be interested in you as a candidate. So in order to combat this, what you wanna do is practice common interview questions and find scenarios in your work history that will help you answer those questions. You don't wanna be unprepared and try to come up with something on the spot. So make sure to practice and find some scenarios, and your answers will be 1,000 times better. Having a specific answer also shows that you know what you're talking about, and it'll show off your skills in relation to that question. All right, the second problem is almost the opposite, which is not giving enough information. This one could look something like this. So it says here that you worked at Tesla for 5 years. Tell us about what you did there. Oh yeah, I did human resources. Having an answer that's too short or just doesn't give enough information makes it seem like you're not prepared and that you have poor communication. And the reason why this is a problem is because whoever's interviewing you might see you as someone who doesn't care about the job because you didn't take the time to prepare, or they might see you as someone who's difficult to work with because you don't know how to communicate. Either way, it's bad. So what you want to do to avoid this one is become familiar with your resume and get comfortable with talking to each of the points that are already on there. For some reason, a lot of people are scared to do this. They don't want to repeat anything from the resume, and they want to come up with all these new and original ideas on the spot. Listen, I'm about to blow your minds. The average recruiter only looks at a resume for like 6 to 7 seconds. That's it. 6 to 7 seconds. You think that's enough time for them to look at everything on there? Hell no. And I'm serious too. I'll link an article down below if you don't believe me. Anyway, all of this is to say that you should not be afraid to repeat what you already have on your resume, because the reality is recruiters would much rather hear it in your own words than have to read it off the paper themselves. So tell them what you've done. Talk about those highlights, talk about your skills, talk about your experiences. And honestly, you can even refer to the resume in your answers. After a question, you could even say something like, as you may have seen on my resume, I did XYZ for 3 years, so, and then go into detail with your answer. All right, the third and final mistake is gonna be poor body language. You know what this one looks like. No eye contact, slouching, maybe even being overly fidgety with your hands. And yes, it could be nerves. We understand that. As an interviewer, we know that people are gonna be nervous, so we expect that. But at the same time, poor body language just makes you look timid, and again, it can make you look like you have bad communication skills. And even if your answers are great, poor body language may be the thing that interviewers remember, and they may not be able to get past that. Now, honestly, this one is a lot more common in younger people than older people, and I think that's in part to blame because of social media. You know, we're more connected than ever, but at the same time, we're increasingly more distant, and I think that's had some repercussions on the way that people communicate. Anyway, body posture is one of those practice makes perfect scenarios. In order to avoid it, you have to be a lot more intentional about your posture and your eye contact. The good thing is that you can implement this in daily life, right? When you're talking to peers, when you're talking to friends, when you're talking to your parents, just making more eye contact, being more intentional about having good body posture will help you in all scenarios, including interviews. It also remembers to help that the reality is everyone is nervous. As long as you're making the effort to have good body posture and good eye contact, it'll probably come across to the interviewer, so just do your best. All right, so those were the 3 mistakes to avoid. Now let's get into those bonuses I mentioned. First things first, I'm gonna say, Don't be afraid to highlight your achievements. Now I get it, nobody likes to brag about themselves, but the truth is an interview is basically a sales pitch. You have to sell yourself, you have to sell your abilities, you have to convince the person across the table from you that you are the best person for the job. This is super important because you could be competing with hundreds of other people who are also trying to get the job. And they may be willing to hype themselves up. And if they do a better job at it than you, guess who's not getting the job? So remember, it's okay to brag a little. Don't be a dick about it, but also don't be afraid to hype yourself up. Okay, bonus tip number 2 is to understand the why behind the questions. This is actually the most exciting part of this whole video because I've actually created a free guide to common interview questions. It lists some of the most common questions you'll encounter in an interview. It talks about the why interviewers ask it, and it gives you examples on how to answer each question so you can tweak it and apply it to your own experience. Hope it helps. All right, so at this point you have everything you need to ace your next interview and land yourself a solid ass 9 to 5. But what now? You're still working for someone else, which like me isn't your ultimate goal in life, so what's next? Well, to be honest, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. One thing I know for sure is that you should definitely be working on something on the side. For me right now, my biggest goal is to keep growing this channel and keep growing this community. The creator economy is expected to triple in size in like the next 6 years, so I'm trying to hop on that train early. And truthfully, I would encourage you all to do the same. There's still a ton of room for growth and a lot of money to be made, so I'd rather get on it now than have regrets 6 years from now. Anyway, this 9 to 5 series has been pretty fun to make, and I think I have some more ideas, so I may be adding to it in the near future. If you have any questions about interviews or just 9 to 5s in general, make sure to leave it in the comments, or you can use the content request form that I have in the bio. But with all that said, I truly appreciate you all for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.